Welcome. You know that feeling when you're staring down a blinking cursor on a stark white screen? Yeah, we've all been there. It is incredibly daunting to face the blank page, especially for aspiring writers. Because whether you've just been struck by this sudden lightning bolt spark of inspiration, or maybe you've carried an entire universe inside your head for years, actually translating those ideas into a compelling narrative, well, it's really tough work. And that is exactly why I've put together this explainer. Today, we are turning this session into a practical workshop guide to demystify the 6 core elements of fiction writing. Okay, let's dive right into our workshop syllabus. We're going to cover the fiction writer's toolkit, characters and conflict, framing the narrative, crafting scenes and prose, and finally, a really cool reading workshop exercise. Every single great story breaks down into these manageable building blocks. Section 1. The Fiction Writer's Toolkit, Building Your Foundation. So before we can go out and build a living, breathing world, we absolutely have to understand the tools we actually have at our disposal. To kick things off, consider this brilliant observation from editor Tiffany Yates Martin. She says, expecting casual pleasure reading to automatically strengthen and improve your own writing is like looking at a Monet and thinking you're learning how to paint a masterwork. Absolutely love this quote because it perfectly highlights the massive difference between just casual reading and analytical reading. We all love a good book, right? But today, we're setting the stage to learn the actual granular mechanics of story. We're getting up close and looking at the brushstrokes. And those brushstrokes are what instructors Jack Smith and Sean Glatch call the 6 core elements of fiction. Plot is the what happens. Characters are the who. Setting is the where. Point of view is the lens we look through. Theme is that deeper meaning, and style is how you actually use your words. Now, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that these elements are completely intertwined. They literally do not exist in a vacuum. For example, you simply cannot develop profound, moving themes with arbitrary, poorly thought out characters. Every single element relies on the others to function. Section 2. Characters and conflict, people and problems. Now, what's really interesting about this next slide is how it gets to the absolute heartbeat of your story, who your people are, and what on earth is standing in their way. E.M. Forster classically divided characters into 2 camps, flat and round. If a character has no depth, they're static. They're flat. You can sum them up in one sentence, like, George hates his ex-wife. But come on, that is way too limited. A dynamic, round character is fully capable of surprising us. Instead of just telling us George hates his ex, a round character explores the why. Is it a basic personality clash? Was there some specific moment of illumination? Readers don't just want the what. They desperately want to know why. So let me ask you right now, what is your protagonist's main goal, and what is standing in their way? All right, once you know what your character actually wants, you can build the plot through a traditional 5-stage structure: exposition, rising action, crisis and climax, falling action, and resolution. Plot is basically just a sequence of causes and effects, and conflict is the engine that drives it from stage 1 to stage 5. Think about Harry Potter for a second. The conflict in that series begins way before Voldemort even makes a physical appearance, right? It starts way back in the exposition with the Dursleys hiding Harry's magic from him. That internal, familial conflict is the spark that gets the entire massive plot moving. Section 3. Framing the narrative, lenses and worlds. So we have our characters and we have our plot, but now we need to decide exactly how we want the audience to see this story unfold and where it's going to happen. So treat this like a real Socratic workshop for a moment and ask yourself, who is the cameraman of your story? This is a huge decision because whoever is holding that camera dictates exactly what the audience is allowed to see, feel, and know. We call this the point of view, or POV. It's the vantage point filtering the whole narrative. If your cameraman is first person, using I, you gain this incredible intimacy, but you run the risk of having an unreliable narrator. If you use third person, he, she, they, you've got options. You can be limited to just one character's mind, you can be totally omniscient like a god looking down, or you can be entirely objective and dramatic, just reporting what people say and do. Hemingway famously used the subjective POV in his short story Hills Like White Elephants, acting almost like a fly on the wall. Pro tip, if your story ever feels stuck, sometimes you literally just need to hand the camera to someone else. That camera also captures the setting, of course, and your goal here is to create a dominant impression. Your setting needs a pulsing heartbeat, but a quick warning. Unnecessary details will completely clutter your story. Only detail what actually matters to the character's experience. A total masterclass example of this is the classic short story, The Yellow Wallpaper. The setting isn't just a house. The very specific details of that wallpaper become absolutely crucial to the main character's mental condition. Honestly, if the setting doesn't serve a purpose in revealing character, plot, or theme, just leave those extra details out. Section 4. Crafting scenes and prose, execution. Okay, now for the actual mechanics of using words on a page to pull the reader so deeply into a scene that they totally forget they're even reading, the absolute crucial point here is dialogue. Still-to-dialogue tags that tell instead of show, they will instantly kill a scene. Imagine reading, "Not necessarily," responded Laura in a barky voice. Oh man, it feels so clunky, doesn't it? Instead, use invisible tags. Just use the word said, or, honestly, even better, let the character's actions and the natural fragments of their speech do the talking. Real people interrupt each other. They use non sequiturs. Write your dialogue so it actually sounds natural. And whatever you do, avoid using your characters as heavy-handed devices just to dump backstory onto the reader. Beyond dialogue, you basically have 4 main tools for solid prose. You've got narrative summary, which lets you telescope time, smoothly skipping over days or even years. You have exposition, to inform the reader or get inside a character's thoughts. You have description, to paint a really vivid picture using the 5 senses. And you have theme. Now, writers have to constantly balance these tools. If you use way too much exposition, the scene stalls out. And as for theme, it is incredibly vital that your theme emerges naturally from the plot and the characters. Actually, scratch that. It's more like it has to bubble up organically. If you try to impose it too heavily, the story is going to feel engineered and completely lose its emotional truth. Section 5. The Reading Workshop Exercise, Training Your Editor Brain. To continually improve your craft, and this brilliantly illustrates how we do it, we are pivoting to a practical homework assignment. This turns your subjective reactions into objective editing skills. It's Tiffany Yates Martin's 3-step reading analysis. Whenever you read someone else's work, I want you to ask yourself, Step 1, how are you affected? Did you laugh, cry, feel totally bored? Step 2, where are you affected? Pinpoint the exact scene, paragraph, or literally the specific word that triggered that feeling. And step 3, why are you affected? You have to reverse engineer the author's technique to understand exactly how they manipulated your emotions. Let's look at a highly specific, concrete example directly from our source material. The dog food example. Okay, step 1, you realize you really like the protagonist. That is the how. Step 2, you realize it happened in chapter 2 when she pre-tasted a can of dog food before feeding it to a friend's pet while she was pet sitting. Yep, that's the where. Step 3, why did that make you like her? Because that tiny, hilarious, and, slightly gross details showed you that she is fiercely loyal, kind of quirky, and takes her responsibilities incredibly seriously. See, the author didn't just tell you she was loyal, they showed you through a highly specific, unforgettable action. By dissecting exactly what works in other people's stories, you build up this massive repertoire of techniques to use in your own writing. So are you ready to stop just reading and start analyzing like an editor? The very next time you pick up a book or watch a movie, pay close attention to the brush strokes. Train that editor brain. Master these 6 core elements, and I guarantee you that blank page is not going to look quite so daunting anymore. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, happy writing.